Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jag from the JB Podcast. So, for this episode, we're going to be doing something a little different. Bryce isn't here with me, so it's just going to be me. And let me know if you guys actually like it better like this with a singular person discussion, or if you would rather have another person so we can actually have a conversation. And yeah, let's get into the video. So, today we're going to be talking about, it's a few days after, but the Christmas Day games between the Cavaliers and the Warriors was crazy. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and then we're going to dive into the events that transpired after that. So first of all, the game itself was probably one of the more intense regular season games I've personally seen in probably the last 5 to 7 years, maybe more. And it was an instant classic Christmas game. I mean, it was back and forth the whole time. And then, actually, it was close. The Warriors were basically winning the entire game, but it was a close game the entire game. And in the fourth quarter, LeBron was sitting because he just scored 16 in the third, and he played the entire third, so Lou was giving him a rest. Kevin Durant, of course, the Warriors go on a 7-0 run, and Kevin Durant basically scored all of the points in that run to put his team up by 14, and it looked like the nail was in the coffin. And Ty Lue, interestingly enough, did not put LeBron back in, which is really risky, because if you guys have seen recently, the past 3 years since LeBron's been back, they are not a good team without LeBron. So he decided to ride with Kyrie, though, and Kyrie did what he does in the fourth quarter. Clutch as heck. He brought the team back slowly but surely. And one thing is, the Richard Jefferson and Iman Shumpert were basically non-existent on the offensive end the entire game. They were a combined 0 for 14 shooting, I believe, until the fourth. And during the comeback, Iman Shumpert finally hit a corner three to bring them within 6. And Richard Jefferson just absolutely destroyed Kevin Durant on a dunk. I did not see that coming. I remember when Richard Jefferson was with the Jazz, he was old back then. He was like 33, and he did a crazy dunk once that I went to the game. I think it was against the Mavericks. But this one, he's 36 now, and he just jammed all over Kevin Durant. And then a few plays later, actually, let's talk about that for a second. After he jammed on him, he winked at Kevin Durant and just smiled, and it looked like Durant didn't mind. I mean, he smiled back, kind of. He smirked back. But then the ref teed him up, so the Warriors got basically a free point on that. And then, which would actually mean a lot later down the line. And after that, Richard Jefferson, a few plays later, jams right on top of Klay Thompson. And it was ridiculous. This is a 36-year-old man, and he looked like prime New Jersey Nets Richard Jefferson out there turning back the clock, and he jammed right on Klay Thompson, which felt so good because Klay Thompson, probably one of the more arrogant players in the league. I mean, he deserves to be. He's on a great team, and he's young. I mean, probably the second greatest shooter ever when it's all said and done. But still, it was nice to see. And then, finally, LeBron comes back in, and he was deferring to Kyrie, basically, the entire fourth quarter. I mean, but when someone's hot, LeBron's a smart player, has a very high basketball IQ, so he's deferring to him almost the entire time. Finally, it comes down to the very end. Steph Curry had just hit a 3, and I thought it was over, honestly, because that put them up by 3 points, 108-105. But thankfully, Kyrie got a clutch steal, ran it back down, reverse layup right on Steph Curry's face, brought them within one. And then the Warriors, all they had to do was get a good shot, and the game was probably over. Just get one field goal make, not even a three, just one 2-pointer, and it's over. They're up by 4. But they couldn't. They got a shot clock violation, and Kyrie did what he does. He drove down. Well, he came up slowly because there were still about 13 seconds left. Came up slowly, drives down middle of the paint-ish to the right side of the paint. Klay Thompson is all over him. And you know Klay Thompson, we all know he's a great defender, and he's about 6 inches taller than Kyrie, 4 to 6 inches taller than Kyrie Irving. It didn't matter. Kyrie pivots. It may have been a travel. I don't know. The refs probably aren't going to call it in that situation. And he spins around, shoots a fadeaway right in Klay Thompson's face, and it goes in. Here's the thing, though. The Warriors still had 3.4 seconds left, 2 timeouts. So they call a timeout. Very last play of the game was very controversial. Kevin Durant got the switch that he wanted. LeBron wasn't on him. And he got Old Man Jefferson on him, who just jammed on him a few minutes earlier. But it really didn't matter because he gets the pass, and it looked like Richard Jefferson may have tripped him, and then he fell down with the ball. But I don't understand. Everyone's complaining and saying, oh, it was a foul, they wanted the Cavs to win, blah, blah, blah. But they had a timeout left, the Warriors. As soon as he tripped, he still had control of the ball. They could have just called another timeout. But regardless, they didn't. And there was no call made. So he just chucks up basically a third of the court shot while he's sitting down, airballs it, and the game's over. Cleveland wins by 1. Kyrie proving once again he's probably the clutchest player in the league. And he did it once again to the Warriors, which has got to suck if you're a Bay Area fan. But I really have no problem with the no call because we've seen it many times. I mean, everyone will either complain if a ref does call the call and they're like, oh, you can't call it in that situation, let the players decide the end of the game, blah, blah, blah. Or they'll freak out and say, hey, that was a foul, you wanted a certain team to win. So I had no problem with the call. Now, what was interesting was Durant, right after the game, said he was tripped and it wasn't by himself. So basically implying that the refs missed a call. Which most people know, yeah, that was a blown call, but they don't have a problem with it because it's the very end of the game and you had a timeout left and decided not to use it for some reason. So, but then for some reason, the very next day, just in a shoot-around interview, because they have those, the players are constantly interviewed, he says this about the officiating, about the last 2-minute report, which, if you guys don't know, is the NBA has every single game, only the big ones get highlighted on the media, but every single game, they send out a last 2-minute report of all the mistakes the refs made. And here's what Durant had to say about that. Because in the last 2-minute report, it did say that Kevin Durant committed a foul. Or, excuse me, Richard Jefferson committed a foul on Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant had this to say. The refs didn't lose us that game, we lost that game. I think it's BS. The NBA throws the refs under the bus like that. This happened to be in our favor, not even in our favor. We don't get the win, but to say I got fouled and the technical on LeBron, which, if you guys didn't watch the game, LeBron had a dunk from a nice feed from Kyrie Irving, and he hung on the rim for about 10 seconds. I was surprised it wasn't a technical. I was glad because they called an earlier technical on Richard Jefferson, so it's the typical, we miss a call, we give it right back to you that the refs sometimes do, and I didn't really have a problem with it. And plus, it's LeBron's house. on Christmas. They just won the championship. They probably aren't calling that on LeBron. And then he says, just move on. Don't throw the refs under the bus like that. Now the next game, that group of refs, whoever it is, they're going to come out intentionally, ref the game, try to get everything right and perfect without just going out there, relaxing, and trying to make the right call. You can't fine us for when we go out there and criticize them and then throw them under the bus for the 2-minute report. What about the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter? I think it's BS. They should get rid of them. Refs don't deserve that. They're trying their hardest to get the play right. Then you look at the play in slow-mo and say it's wrong. I think it's BS that they do that. Full of crap that you throw the refs under the bus like that after the game. Like it matters. The game's over. We move on. Now, I actually really like what he's saying there because I tend to agree. I mean, the players or the coaches, if they say anything negative about the officiating, bam, $15,000 fine, $5,000 fine. It ranges. I mean, they get fined depending on the severity of what they say about the officiating and if they think it's bias or not. But then the NBA itself comes out with a 2-minute report, which really doesn't make sense that they do if they find their own players and coaches for doing basically the same thing. And it is really, the refs are trying to call foul. You can't replay a foul call. They can't review if that was a foul or not. So in real time, they say, hey, no foul. And then the media slows it down, zooms in, and looks at a foul and says, wow, the officiating sucks. But it's really not their fault. They're trying their hardest. And Durant's right. The very next game, instead of relaxing, they're going to be all uptight and try to get everything perfect, which incidentally will make it so they probably make more mistakes the very next game. So I agree with him. I think they should get rid of the 2-minute report, and the Cavs-Warriors game was amazing. Now, lastly, I just want to talk a little bit. I said earlier that Tyronn Lue rode with Kyrie in the fourth and sat LeBron for about half of it and trusted in them. But then the very next day, LeBron rests. I mean, I have no problem with them resting. He's played over 40,000 minutes, the most ever by his age in the NBA. And it's against the Pistons, who have been disappointing thus far in the season. They're not even in the top 8 seed, so right now, if the season ended, they would not make the playoffs. And the Cavs get blown out by 16 again to a non-playoff team. So they go from one day beating maybe the most talented team of all time. Yes, it's a regular season game, but still very hype. Everyone got ready for it on Christmas, to getting blown out by a non-playoff team the very next day. I mean, it's astounding how bad the Cavs can be without LeBron. I mean, it's not on the level, I would say, as James Harden, where his team looks absolutely lost when he's sitting on the bench for like 2 minutes. But it's pretty bad. I mean, the team that the Cavs have, they have 2 other All-Stars. Kevin Love maybe might make the Hall of Fame, and Kyrie Irving is on the right path right now to make the Hall of Fame. But no, for some reason, they can't win a game without LeBron. And I think LeBron's never been injured, luckily, but still, I mean, they need to find a way to be able to get it done, because so far this season, they're 0-3 when LeBron rests. And in the 3 years that LeBron's been back, they're 3-14, which is just embarrassing when you have 2 other All-Stars on your team and a pretty decent roster. I mean, I admit the first year he sat out like 12 games and they won like 3 of them. And the roster wasn't nearly as good then, but especially this year, 0-3, and you have the highest salary in the whole league. I mean, you paid your players. They're some of the best in the entire league, and you get blown out by 16 to a non-playoff team, which I just think is interesting. But hey, I think they'll get it figured out sooner actually LeBron and Kyrie and stuff always say they want to peak in June, so they might not even work that out for the rest of the regular season, which I honestly, it kind of sucks, but secretly I don't mind it, because it just increases the value that LeBron has and the chances of him getting MVP. So the Cavs do need to be better, but it proves once again LeBron is just so valuable to a team. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any other ideas on how I can improve, or if you actually like the one-person videos, or if you want two again. And then please comment, what did you think of the Christmas game? I mean, I personally thought it was amazing. I mean, of course I was rooting for the Cavs, but even Warriors fans can admit that was a great game. LeBron, 31 points, 13 rebounds. Kyrie Irving, 25 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, and 7 steals. And then Durant was a beast like usual, 36 points, 15 rebounds. I mean, I thought it was amazing, but let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.